Rocket. Well, here we are at my penthouse. Let me show you around. Lounge room, kitchen, then table, chill area, her room. This is her room. This is my brother's room. Bathroom. Then the fucking my mom and my dad's room. Then at here goes the balcony. Let's go into the balcony. Done, we'll chill. Yep. Well, here we are on the balcony. Yep, we sure are here. Come hold my hand, bitch. Sister. So, daddy, brother. Good girl. Press play.
As a sister, and I really think I need help. Me and Vicky don't have a very big age difference, just 5 years. This is neither forwards nor backwards. We can't be friends, but we could find some common interests so that things were okay. Somehow, we managed to do it. Vicky seemed to see me as one of her dolls. I was just a little bigger and able to talk.
Yeah, buddy.
Our parents were very happy that she was growing to be a good mom in the future. I don't know what the connection between dolls and motherhood was, but okay, let it be. Because I don't think my problem started because of our mother-daughter games and doll tea parties. The main problem was that me and Vicky shared one room because our parents didn't have enough money for a bigger apartment while we were growing up. It's difficult to be a teenager and not notice female body parts whenever possible, even if they belong to your mom or sister. And here is one room. Vicky, who has never been too shy and who could change her clothes right in front of me because she thought I was still too young to understand and feel anything. Despite the fact that by the time I already turned 14, and I did understood all this. What's more, I saw all her things just fine. My sister was pretty. She could easily be compared to some Instagram models. I definitely looked at her, especially when she was going on dates and dressing up in those weird short dresses of hers, wearing nothing under them. And she had a surprisingly light, cheerful character, constant jokes in her head, and the ability to open many locks with a hairpin. Don't ask me. I have no idea how come. The girls of my age from my school somehow got lost in her background. They were small, not attractive enough, not smart enough. Anyway, just not enough. And out of the blue, my brain decided, hey dude, let's fall in love with your own sister. That's a cool idea. So it planted in my body all the necessary hormones and some other stuff causing love. Okay, I'd get over it. Maybe I would even grow up someday. Or just go home and move out as soon as possible. But then the jealousy came out, and this was the real monster seriously unnerving me. And I had no idea how to deal with it, except eliminating the cause of jealousy. I turned into a little evil monster. I guess Vicky really was a great sister, as she tolerated my quirks. She even calmed me down when I was already crossing the line. But it didn't comfort me at all, because I knew she was going to her boyfriend, and sometimes she didn't come back home for the night. By this time, I was already 16. I was still sane, and I didn't go crazy, so I decided to act radically. If I can't make my sister give up everything for me, then I can definitely keep all the guys away from her. And I started messing with her guys. With someone, it was like enough to just talk in a high voice, maybe even use a pepper spray and a voice recorder. But things were much more difficult with her regular boyfriend at that time, and I had to really set him up so that the police caught him red-handed. I knew he carried, well, some forbidden stuff with him in his car. Vicky told me about it, so as an honest citizen, I informed the police. Vicky didn't wait for him to get out of prison. By the way, no one accused me of anything because I was always nice and fluffy. I was never guilty of anything, yeah. But I still had to be constantly on the watch for the newbies coming to our home. I worked out 5-star stalking skills, as well as blackmailing ones. Not that she had many fans, but still, there were some daredevils dating a pretty girl like my sister. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong at the time, And actually, my attempts to get the guys away from her looked as weird as possible. I just acted on my feelings, and that's it. My conscience didn't even bite me. Mostly because I didn't see any really cool guys around Vicky. And then she decided it would be a great idea to move somewhere else. She even agreed with the embassy and at her college that she would go somewhere in Italy for a year, like an internship or student's experience exchange, stuff like that. You know, I didn't like it at all, and I couldn't think of anything better than to pretend to be sick, perhaps even fatally. I had money. I had saved up over all those years, and it was very easy to find a doctor who would write me the necessary certificate, even though I was still a minor. Anyway, I got a paper about the disease that was not really fatal, but the one that required a long-term treatment. And I accidentally left it in the hallway of our house so that my relatives would see it. As I had planned, everyone started panicking and feeling really sorry for the poor little me. Of course, I had to hang out in hospitals and pump out a couple liters of blood for tests. Vicky's departure had already passed. I don't know what would happen the next year, but so far, I've won. No, don't get me wrong. I knew perfectly well that my relationship with Vicky would never turn into something, unnatural. And yeah, I'm still waiting to get older and move out of my house. I hope that one day my personal hell will end or burn me from the inside out. But so far, it's easier for me to just do it this way. Stay next to Vicky without some disturbing things nearby. Write your thoughts about my story in the comments. If you have any ideas on how I can stop loving my sister, I'll be happy to read them. And guys, don't believe that love is something cool. No, sometimes it's never cool at all for none of its participants.
Bullshit, you're just a dickhead.
And I want to share my pain with you. I know that my story is not really an original one, but nevertheless, for me, it's just a tragedy that I live with. I have a big, friendly family. We all live together. Parents, siblings with their kids, wives and husbands, dogs and grandparents. Such a common flat for a great amount of people. Some siblings have their own families, but there are also teenagers like me. We look like we're going to live in a big street, and it looks like a dormitory. As I remember, nobody tried to divide kids. Everybody got along well, in groups for interest and age, and we lived where we had the opportunity to. But there were a lot of variants. Close streets didn't like us. We were noisy, and we were a big group of kids. But it was their problem. It was a wonderful time, but other children not from our family, we didn't take them to our company. Only when we got older, we started to talk with other children not from our family. It was around the secondary school
You
age.
know how to cook?
It happened, so I was a close
Yeah, I do.
friend of
What do you want me
Sasha,
to cook,
my
Daddy
nephew.
Bother?
We were nearly the
I
same
got
age.
pizza to do.
We had a 2-year gap. We had common interests and friends.
Cool, I'll be
The
right
others
back.
were younger than us
Okay, see you
or
soon.
older. The adults were happy too.
Here you go.
I'm not
Here you
alone.
go.
And the nephew
Here's your
was
dog,
looking
bud.
after me. Naturally, I
French.
had boyfriends, but they weren't long-time relationships.
So, Brian, let's eat it.
I'm Sandy, and I've got a story about parental favoritism. You see, my parents often choose their favorites, contrary to common sense. Therefore, you shouldn't really strive to be a good child. Whether you're good or worthless, it still won't influence their decision. They say that I hit the lottery at birth. My parents were very rich, and they've been growing more and more rich with each passing year. My dad is a very successful businessman who controls a whole supermarket chain that spans through the whole country. And my mom supervises the Eco Cafe network. We never needed money. On the contrary, both my sister and I had everything we'd ever wanted and so much more since childhood. For example, when I was 12, I really wanted a pony. Actually, we already had some horses, but those belonged to my parents, and I demanded a pony of my own like a real aristocrat. Dad didn't even ask if I really needed it. He just called the breeder and bought an adorable little cutie. The pony lived a happy life. I really enjoyed riding it until I grew up. Every other one of my wishes was fulfilled in a similar manner. Molly and I just pointed a finger at something, and the parents immediately bought us anything we desired. And when we got older, Mom and Dad handed each of us an unlimited credit card. To be fair, we still had some responsibilities. Each of us had to study while at school, and we also had to be present at dinner parties that parents arranged for their business partners. During such parties, we had to put happy faces on and entertain the children of the guests with intellectual games in the nursery. White people problems, sure, but I never wanted to remain always just another beautiful girl and a dutiful daughter of wealthy parents. I wanted to make a name for myself. I wanted to be remembered because of my own personal achievements, not just a nameless scion of a rich family. Even now, I remain an ambitious person. I was an honor student at school. Molly also received a lot of A's for her tests, but my grades were well deserved. My sister received education for show. I studied for my own good. I understood that my parents' money would buy us any kind of education, but my ambitions demanded me to work for it. When I was 16, I asked my parents for a small sum, bought fresh, succulent flowers, and made a picture of them with my own hands. I created it in a fit of inspirations, a little design joke with an eco-bias, nothing more. I presented this work to my mother. She placed it in one of her cafes, and people suddenly liked it. Everyone asked Mom where she got such a masterpiece. Mom gave them my business card with a phone number, an Instagram link, and Facebook page on it. At first, of course, my web pages contained only sketches, examples of someone else's work similar to mine, and lists of available flowers from nearby farms. But soon, my portfolio grew considerably. At first, it was just a hobby to enjoy in my spare time. But by the time I was 19, the innocent hobby grew into a full-fledged, large-scale business. I owned 3 stores in different parts of the city where you could buy my mini compositions, aquariums, and some small works of art. There were also catalogs with paintings and designs available on demand. If none of the available variants fit, I got an option of custom-made works of art based on the sketches of the customers. I also had 2 succulent farms and 1 small workshop where employed workers made boxes for my compositions and installed irrigation systems. And the best part was that I organized my business all by myself. I didn't even need to ask my parents' advice. I became a full-fledged businesswoman. I also had plans for making a landscape design service, but that idea was reserved for the future. Yet my sister chose a different path. I studied hard, graduated from school with honors, entered a university of finance, but Molly just wasted her life away. She paid no attention to studies, hung out with friends, used every permitted advanced substance since she was 15. And at the age of 17, she ended up in a hospital after a heavy trip. It was her first time in the hospital due to this very reason, but hardly the last. She herself claimed that she just lived her life to the fullest. Soon, my parents spent all their free time looking after Molly and nearly forgot about me. After all, I was okay by myself, and my sister needed constant supervision, care, money, and all that crap, as if she didn't understand what she was doing. That's how I distanced myself from my family. So once I came to our family lawyer on my business, just when my parents were making changes in their will, they had a strange tradition, or should I call it a hobby? Once a year, they steadily visited our lawyer in order to either confirm or make changes to their will. That day, the parents were also occupied by the particular hobby of theirs. That's how I became an involuntary witness of how they ditched me with their inheritance. My parents didn't even try to hide their actions. They clearly were going to leave all their property, including both businesses, to Molly. In response to my stunned look, Dad threw his hands up in the air and said that my sister needed it more than I did. And then he asked me to have a talk at home. Naturally, after such an event, I was not in the mood for conversations. If my sister was that important for Mom and Dad and I was left with nothing, then they were free to talk to her to their heart's content. Maybe such news would finally make her see some reason after all. So I just turned around and left them to their business. I had a home and a life of my own, and I needed nothing from them. I did not answer their calls, and I did not regret anything. My own business is successful. I'll soon build my palace, with ponies and a pond with carps. And my parents are free to cater to Molly's every wish, if she's so dear to them. I hope they'd have time before she makes one more mistake and completely obliterates her health. I resent only one thing. All my life, I honestly tried to be the best, and it turned out that nobody needed it. After all, they just flushed everything I'd been working for down the drain, along with all my achievements and awards. Not that I want their money, I just hated it when it became clear that Molly was still their favorite, despite all her misdeeds.
Hello, people. I'm the mother of these two girls, Sandy and Molly. And here's my part of the story. Each coin has two sides, and in order to correctly assess who is right and who is wrong, you need to study from both. My husband and I are really very guilty towards the girls, but not because we love one daughter more than another. Both of them are equally important for us, and we care about them, but we paid too much attention to our business and to the pursuit of money, and didn't pay enough attention to the upbringing of our little princesses. And now, we pay dearly for our mistake. Both of us were constantly working and compensated the lack of parental love with lavish gifts. We hired the best nannies, governesses, educators, and teachers. My husband and I hardly ever even talked to them. We just took money out of our wallets and paid for all the servants, toys, sweets, and gifts, and we thought it was enough. The girls received the same education, were brought up in equal conditions, and had only a year of age difference. Yet somehow, they turned out to have completely different personalities. They perceived the same action from different angles. For example, Molly always believed that we were obliged to buy her everything and entertain her, and Sandy persistently tried to somehow refund all our expenses, as if we would demand something from her. Sandy studied hard and hardly ever rested. That's how she paid us back for her well-being. And then she became a full-blown businesswoman. Our eldest turned out to be a very proud, strong, and truly independent girl. Sandy was sure she could do anything, and worked to the limit of her abilities to get the result she desired. Many times, I saw how my daughter worked all night on this project of hers, but she never came up to us, never asked for help. I've always respected Sandy, and, to be honest, even became a little afraid of her. She took after her father. He was just as stubborn and never gave up on an idea until the very end. But my husband became softer with age, and Sandy somehow grew even more obstinate. Molly, on the other hand, had a completely different personality. She was softer than her sister, far more vulnerable, and much more pliable for any dubious undertakings. No, I don't justify her, and I understand perfectly well that no one poured alcohol into her mouth by force. Still, when you're a teenager, your friends are a strong influence, and when you are 15, it's incredibly difficult to refuse indulging in forbidden stuff, especially when you've never heard the word no before. That's how Molly took a wrong path. My husband and I had no choice but to try to stop her from falling into the abyss before it was too late. Maybe it looked like we were really fussing over her. I don't know for sure, but for some reason, Sandy suddenly became jealous. The more time we spent with Molly, the more the distance between us and Sandy grew. Until recently, we hoped that the girls would grow up as best friends and would support each other at the most dangerous moments of their life. My husband and I tried to do everything so that our vision became true, and perhaps we went too far, because as a result, we lost both our daughters at once. I was initially against those changes to our will. I told my husband that we were making a huge mistake, yet he wouldn't listen to me and claimed that the girls would always be together, and such a decision would only bring them closer to each other. In his eyes, everything was going out perfectly. Molly never gave a damn about our businesses, and Sandy, on the contrary, would not leave her sister for the sake of business. Such a horrible misunderstanding. We didn't hide the changes to our will, and when Sandy saw them, she acted in her typical manner. My daughter made her own conclusions, refused to listen to us, and simply left with her head held high. That's how we lost our eldest daughter. Now she thinks that we never loved her at all and wants nothing to do with us. And when Molly learned about the will, she really went to town. She said that, due to her being the only heir, she wanted to live to the fullest and refused to listen to us. She left home for several weeks, spent all her time partying with guys, alcohol, and drugs. As a result, my husband had his first heart attack and kicked Molly out of the house. Only then, I saw that our daughters had something in common. Our youngest refused to reconcile and also left with her head held high. That's how we lost our family, because of all the money. Hello, my name is Ollie, and I experienced what it means to trust a friend.
So
I
Bond.
don't recommend anyone doing something like this if you don't want to be in my shoes. I met Rue at school, literally a couple of years ago, when we were both 14, and only bright prospects were waiting for us in our futures. Yes, a couple of years of friendship is not a whole life, and not even from the first grade friendship. But, so have you ever had the feeling like you look at a person and understand them from the first few minutes, and that you both belong together? Not in terms of romantically, but simply spiritually. Rue really was part of me in a good sense of the word. She supplemented me, and at the same time, understood me. Well, it was mutual, it seemed to me. Anyway, such an ideal friendship from the first sight. It happened so that despite the same interests, our tastes were quite different. Therefore, we easily avoided half of the debate, because there was no point in sharing the same blouse or a guy. We liked different ones. Both blouses and guys, or whatever. Well, I thought so, before all these events. And I also knew for sure that Rue would never tell my secrets to others, and therefore, I willingly shared with her all my worries, including the plans for my personal future. Of course, I didn't have these plans until I was 16, but I still could tell her something, right? Rue had an absolutely fantastic flair for people. She could literally say with a couple of glances on a person whether to deal with him or not, and I trusted her. At 16, I fell in love for the first time. The boy from our school, Dan, who was a year older than me, my first fatal love. It seemed to me that he was just perfect. But I generally have a problem with my excessive enthusiasm. That's what my mom says. And of course, I immediately shared my feelings with Rue. It turned out that she knew Dan, and knew pretty well if I could look at my dream only at a distance, in the corridors or in the courtyard of the school. Then my friend, who was fond of vocals and participated in school choir, sang with him in this very choir, and their parents got along well, but not so much that they were considered even friends. When I found out about his talents, I also thought of signing up for vocals, but they didn't take me. In fact, I wasn't very upset, because in addition to school classes, I went to the classes of photography and I simply didn't have time for any extra courses, but at least I tried. All my free time, I was whining. The sorrow that I don't know how to attract his attention, that Daniel was a choir star, an athlete, a handsome man, the owner of the most charming smile, and #1 in school, will never look at such a grayness like me. And basically, Rue was forced to listen to my sufferings. I then, once again, made sure what an awesome friend she was, because she even sympathized. This was a hit. And I had to go to a bus stop near the mall. Even after school, I warned Rue not to wait for me. So when I saw her at the bus stop, I was a little confused. For some reason, I thought she stayed there for me, and I rushed to run to scare her, or simply surprise her. And suddenly, I saw Dan. He was there too. He stood next to Rue and said something to her, holding her hand. I didn't see Rue's face, and I didn't try to do it, because at that moment, a giant thorny ball was slowly turning in my chest, which literally burst my insides with pain. I used to think that the phrase, punch the daylights out, was a metaphor. No, I myself experienced approximately the same feeling when I simultaneously saw my beloved with another girl who was betraying me right in front of my eyes. Then I just ran away without saying anything. Rue called me, tried to talk, but I just couldn't physically. My mouth didn't open, and before my eyes stood the picture again and again. Rue and holding hands at the bus stop. I didn't communicate with Rue anymore, and didn't find the strength in me to listen to her and forgive. I only know that they don't date, but anyway, it's terribly painful. I have no more friends, except my mom. Now I trust only her, and I no longer believe in female friendship.
My name is Rue, and Ollie told you about my betrayal. Yes, I betrayed my best friend. But what if everything was completely not like that? I'm not very sociable in life, and I really get along with people. So the appearance of Ollie in my life was a real fairy tale for me. I always wanted to live like in books, so that there was someone to sleep with in pajamas, go shopping, and discuss boys. There were practically no girls around me, only classmates, but they were interested in cosmetics, fashion, and all that. I liked art more, and to be honest, the girls didn't really want to take me to their companies.
You must bring back the celestial blue to pass the trial and become a real knight. Fail, and you won't.
The girls
Fuck off.
didn't really want to take me to their companies. And then the parents were sent to another city, to the new office of their company, and we moved. And I decided that this was my chance to find a friend. And I met Ollie, and then kept her as the last hope. Probably it's not too nice of me to impose myself like I did, but I felt 14 years of loneliness. And Ollie was not against friendship. She also seemed to have communication problems. So very quickly, we became pretty close. And all that I dreamed about came true. And spending the nights and laughing at breaks and discussing the boys. Boys. If I only knew that my acquaintance with the handsome Dan would turn into a tragedy for our friendship. Ollie fell in love, and all the time she spoke only about Dan and how wonderful he was. And it so happened that my parents just worked with his parents, and therefore they were often guests in our house. Beloved by adults, play together for the kids of all ages introduced Dan and me. No, we were not friends, and did not even communicate, only some general phrases, in the same choir. We were stably pretending not knowing each other at all, although I'm not sure whose initiative was that one. And I even left alone in my room, while my parents resolved their issues in the living room. They really just drank and chatted, and didn't especially communicate. There was simply nothing to talk about. And of course, when Ollie fell in love, I decided to help my best friend. Why did I call Dan to talk? I wanted, well, to ask him to take a walk with Ollie or something. Everything turned out very well. Ollie lingered on her classes that day, and I decided to use my free time to talk with Dan. I called him to a stop. There simply is takeaway coffee, quite tasty, and a square with benches, and for a long time I tried to figure out which side I should approach. I guess it's my fault that I started the conversation wrong. I began to tell him about the fact that there is one girl in school who really likes him, and something else about the first love and chance that everyone needs to be given. I guess I was too convincing in my story, or simply Dan misunderstood me. But suddenly, without even hearing what I had to say, Dan began to confess his love to me. And it turned out that he was in love with me all those 2 years that we've known each other. Allegedly, he immediately liked me with my silence and gloomy appearance, and then finally subdued when I came to the choir and sang something about love. And Dan is very glad that our feelings are mutual. You see, I was so confused at that moment that I didn't really think at all how he looked from the outside, with the holding hands and dreamy expression on Dan's face. Of course, I immediately said that my whole story was not about me at all, but about my friend. And to me, well, I didn't care about him. But of course, Dan did not believe, and began to say that we should try, like I myself said about the fact that everyone who is in love should give it a chance, which means I perfectly understand his feelings. I was babbling something about Ollie, trying to convince him that he was mistaken, but for some reason I never pulled out my hand. And then I saw Ollie, and the smile on her face gave way to a terrible grimace. We went to the museum in the previous school, and there were ritual posthumous masks of people. Here, Ollie's face was practically the same. Honestly, I was scared, but I was not afraid for myself. I was sure she would not do anything bad to me, but for herself. I was afraid that she would do something with herself, and then immediately pushed Dan away and ran after Ollie. But she refused to talk to me. She didn't answer the phone. She didn't leave the room when I personally went to her house. And at school, she significantly ignored me. How I hated Dan. Because of his impenetrable stupidity, and mine too, why hide, I lost the best and only one friend. And most of all, I wanted not even to make peace, but to explain to Ollie that I had never betrayed our friendship. Ollie and I didn't communicate anymore, but I still hope I'll have the chance to fix everything.
This is the story of...
So Bond.
Alright, fine, I'll buy it. How much do you want for it? Yeah. Check.
This was JMW.
Los Santos PD, come to the door, please.
Say there's mail everywhere, like they haven't been home in a long time.
Love you,
Right.
sis. Love
We
you
got a
too,
body
Daddy
126.
Baba.
Sir, can you hear me? What happened to this guy? I'm gonna look him up. So, from what we know, the guy just bought this house today. I looked around, there's no signs of foul play anywhere. House looks ordinary. He doesn't have any criminal history. But everything in this house looks old as shit. Like the food's moldy. There's a bunch of mail outside. Here's that mail. Like, there was a good stack of mail out there to someone other than this guy.
We'll go ahead and take that rose. I'll get county corner. They're doing autopsy on the body.
So I just told police the autopsy revealed he actually has no heart whatsoever.
No, Daddy Queen, aren't you, sissy? Yep, I am Daddy Bravo. Yep, Mia.
Okay. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, you have a good one. Okay, so yeah, I just got some news from the from an autopsy. There was no heart in the guy. What? There was no heart in the guy.
Or it was just small.
Like no heart at all.
Oh,
How is that possible with no injuries? I don't know.
good shit.
Oh, what the fuck? Yeah.
Hello, I'm the real estate manager. I was called down here, but they weren't making it. Perfect. All right. You in the red shirt. Would you be interested in buying this dog? Look at this perfectly groomed dog right here.
That is a pretty nice dog.
Hey, look at him. Look at him. Look how cute he is. Look at this.
Stand in the kitchen, please.
Back up. Look.
No.
Look.
Hey,
Dog.
Hey.
Keep going. Look at how cute this dog is. All right, sir with the blue tie, sir with the gray hair. How would you like to buy this dog? How would you like to buy this dog? Look at this dog. He's a brand new puppy. Look at him.
Step back.
He's such a cute little dog. His name is Alfred. Come on. These dogs only shed 3 times a year.
Step back.
It's perfect for your floors.
Back
It's on
up.
every day that I sell a dog. Okay.
Just put the box down, okay?
Come on. Mr. Dams. Mr. Dams, how would you like to buy this dog?
How about no?
I'll give you a good deal on this dog. Good deal.
It's time for you to leave. Stop walking towards me.
I'll give you a good deal on this dog. Good deal on this dog.
Sir, I need you.
It's gonna be perfect for your hardwood floors. He's looking for a new house too. Look at
Makes one more step forward, you tase him. I will.
Alfred would love a house like this. Look at this. By all you fancy gentlemen, he would love an owner like you.
Sir, please stay behind me.
Mr. Dams. Oh! Ow! Step back!
Sir, get in the vehicle.
Damn.
Where is this guy? How you doing? How would you like to buy this dog? What's your name, sir? I'll give you a great deal on this dog. I'll give you a way better deal than the breeder got.
Okay.
I'll give you this brand new dog.
Sir, that's not a brand new dog.
This is a poodle. His name is Alfred. Look how cute he is. Look how adorable he is. Look at these eyes. You can't resist these eyes. Look at this. All I want is a little bit of time if you take this dog.
Time for what, sir?
Come on, sir. What do you say?
Sir, stop.
His name is Alfred. Look at him.
bro.
You only gotta groom him 3 times a year. You know, and that's if you're a bad owner. I mean, honestly, you can do the bare minimum and upkeep him.
Yeah, that didn't come
Alfred
out
loves a new home.
Hey, I'll tell you what, sir. Okay? You put the dog down, okay? I'm gonna put you in cuffs just for a few minutes. What kind of time?
All right, sir. You agree to the dog?
Come
Okay, here you
on.
go. I'm gonna put him down. No worries, no worries. I'm putting him down right here. Thank you so much for your purchase. I'll see you again next time. Thank you so much for your time.
But purchase with what?
Completely just disappeared.
Be advised, this guy's some type of wizard or something. He dropped the
This guy's
dog
some
and
type
then
of
just
wizard.
vanished.
Okay,
in thin air.
now we're gonna have to like poof him away now or something like that.
I don't trust this dog.
It's a dog. What's it gonna do?
From that guy, honestly, I have no idea.
Say, listen, come on, are you okay?
Ted's dog's head. He has no idea. He just gave away a day of his life.
Dog. What did he mean by time?
What did he
Like
mean
I
by
paid him
time?
with my time. Like, what does he mean by that?
I have no clue. Be advised, I had the other agent just come right behind me. Something's going on in this building. Do not bring the governor back here at all.
Oh my god, he shot the dog! Why did he shoot the dog?
Be advised, one agent has been lost, possibly down.
He's like, this is what I signed up for a day. The day of my life, this is what I get.
Show yourself. Show yourself. What do you think of the dog? Don't think the dog was. I didn't shoot it. I was just petting it. I didn't do anything to it. I swear. Stay back. Take me back. No. Am I back? Where am I?
Michael! Hey, Robin! Hey, drop the gun! Drop the gun, it's us! It's us! Look, it's me! It's James! It's James! X-ray 1! It's X-ray 1, buddy! Put the gun down for me! Hey! Look, put the gun down!
Stay back! You're not real.
Micah, put the gun down!
You're not real.
Talk to me, buddy!
You're not real.
Micah, it's been a day since we saw you. What happened? Micah, no. Come here. Micah, I am
Stay back.
Zach. I'm the first agent in charge. What is going on?
Stay back. I will
Micah.
shoot. You're not real.
Micah, I am real.
Stay back. I'll shoot you.
He doesn't know the real world versus the one he just got teleported to.
No, I'm not. I'm not even armed. Micah, I'm not armed.
You're not real.
Micah, calm
You're
down.
not real.
Protect yourself. How am I gonna hurt you? I'm not armed. You don't want to do that. We're on the same team.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Jeez, they shot the fucking bodyguard. Oh shit, they just killed him.
You alright? Hey, you good, man? I don't think I am.
He's like, you're not real.
Bruce down to EMS. Desperately. Got agent down at 722. Shots fired. Agent down.
Shit, there's no ambulance available.
I need a med
720.
How you doing, sir?
I'm alright.
You level half this city if you so desired it to, and it'd probably be uninhabited for the next 5,000 years.
Alright,
This thing is so amazing. Oh my goodness. You'll see the second sun come right up.
First of all, that does sound a bit cool and funny if I launch it at someone that I know. But second of all, how did you get in here?
I have a quarter by tomorrow. Listen, I gotta sell this thing, okay? Listen, this thing.
Ignore this warning will most certainly be subject to die.
I told him that he doesn't do anything rationally or logically.
Jaws.
He literally has a thermonuclear warhead in the next room.
Good. Jaws.
Oh my god. Just like ran into the wall. do? Gooey.
Oh, dinosaur.
Oh, hey, Boo-Boo.
Dinosaur?
Hmm.
You're the landlord of this property?
Dude, they need to send Destin for that thermonuclear warhead in his house.
I'm a dinosaur.
Is this your car?
I want to see their reaction when they find it.
I'm a dinosaur.
What the fuck?
Shake your head up and down if it's yes.
Oh no,
Where'd he go?
it's Darren.
Where did he go? Where did he go? Like,
Even better.
that's not a missile, that is a nuke. This is also above our pay grade. So,
Alright, you know what? They have no idea where the knock is coming from. They never guess that it's not the front door.
It's over here, not there. Use your ears.
Love you, Daddy, brother. Love you too, my sister, Daddy. Oh, no.